Welcome to Trading Lounge and the US stocks for the 27th of July, and starting with Google Alphabet here, and we're looking at 5 waves up here in terms of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here. So we can look at this as wave 1 and ABC for wave 2 that technically pulls down to the 50-60% retracement level, but to this degree of structure is probably just going to pull down to the wave 4 of one lesser degree here at support, so we can lift this up here. But I also want to look at another count. So this particular move through here, because it came up and gave us a high here, we'd still need to see 5 waves down here, which is quite a way down at this point, but we'll just see be something like this here for this, and then moving up from there. But I want to re-look at this here in a different way, and just on the 4-hour chart here will do the trick. So from wave 4 low here, looking for wave 5 to move higher here in terms of wave 1 here, back for wave 2 here. That can also just that could also drop a little bit lower here as such, but not too much. And look at wave 3, 4 and 5 for wave 1 up here, and then wave 2 back here. So I'm not sure which is the correct one here, but I would imagine that if we give this about 2 or 3 sessions to play out here, it will give us the direction that we need. But in the meantime, if this top here is taken out, then you need to be long from that point. You could probably bring that down realistically to the midpoint here, the 1550 here at that stage, to go long on that as support. So 1545, 15, that's close enough there. Oh, still that's pretty high at that point too, isn't it? I'll just leave it there for the time being. Let's just check out what this is going to do. We're looking for the Nasdaq to have another little move down and then push up from that point. So if that's the case, then we can look to go long here a little bit earlier. How early? Let's just check this out while we're here. Excuse me for a moment. I'm just putting in the levels here. So 1530 doesn't really get us out of any trouble though as such. So if I take that down to the 80 here, that still gives us the 50-60% retracement level here. So I'm thinking of 1 and 2 here, and 3 here and 4 here, and then wave 5 down to around the 1480 mark here. I just don't want to get us trapped. I mean, obviously the sensible thing to do is to buy here, but we're not sort of trapped there yet. I guess one of the things that we could do is that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here. Then when the market comes below the 1500, we could look at this as the classic trading levels pattern here, just exaggerating it a little bit, and go long here, and wherever that tips up to, then put your stop in here. And then as soon as that moves up high enough, try and get that to break even or close to break even. You can move it up once 1530 becomes the tested support. Once that becomes the tested support, then you can bring that to break even. That's the only other way I can kind of see getting into this and being safe, you know. Okay, let's move on to Netflix. So most of the markets are going through a bit of a correction at the moment. So with Netflix here, we're just looking at wave 4 pulling back here as such. So I think we can just about leave that there. Once again, any move up from here, let's just say that, I'm not sure if that's done yet, but it doesn't really matter. If we get support on here again, then we can go long from that point. So when I put these lines in here, in terms of like a green line here, these are trades, got nothing to do with the portfolio trades, okay? The positions. There's trades and there's positions. So positions this is a position here, right? So that's a buy here for this. So I'll just leave that there. But that's a trade from that point, okay? I'll just save that and I'll leave that at that. And then we have a look at NVIDIA. So with this market, we've got a correction across the 400 here, which is really what we want. Markets are just trends and corrections of different degrees, and the trading levels help us out with where the corrections will take place. Not only that, they create targets and support and resistance, and they give us a lot. The price gives us a lot. But we do have a correction here in terms of an A wave, and then an A and a B and a C wave for the B wave here, and then we've got the C wave down through here. So we can go long as a trade at that point, and as a portfolio buy you can go in. Well, what I want to do with the portfolio things is that I know that most of the markets we'll be looking at wave 5, and then we're going to get a correction here. So this is where the portfolio buys are going to come in most cases. So just bear that in mind. I've talked about it before and I'll continue to talk about it. But this could just push straight up to 500, the next level here. So we just need to be a little bit mindful of that. But any money that we do in our trades, we can offload that profit into portfolio. That's the general idea. So also what I want to look at here is AMD. But just before we have a look at AMD, I just want to explain a few things. And I don't know if I'm not a fundamental person, right? So I don't know all of that. I'll try and improve on that. But this is Intel here, okay? So basically something happened to Intel. I'm not sure what it was, right? But it affected AMD. Obviously they've picked up, I'll get AMD here at the moment. So this is AMD here. So obviously somebody's lost some business and somebody's picked it up, right? So that's fine. But and look, this trend is good. We looked at this before as wave 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 across here. So we can look at this as 1 and 2 here. And we can still see this going higher here. If you don't mind me pointing out, the levels up here, of course, is 80 is the major trading level. So we want to try to get to that. But if you're looking to take part profit, then 72 would be the number here. And then eventually the support would be 65. So these adjust the levels. This is 50 here, of course, the major level. So 50 is a major level and 80 is a major level. And then we're going into group 2 here, 65, 72 and 80 here. So you can expect the market to dance across 72 for a while and then eventually try to get up here further. So taking profit at 78 or 80, 78 or 80 would be fine at that point. Okay, this still has more to go, but in terms of chip makers, these are not the best fish and chips on the block. The NVIDIA has is leading its little section in chips, and the other one that we've been bringing on board is TSM, the Taiwan Semiconductors, right? So those two I feel like have got much better longer term potential in market share. Also, not to leave out Tesla as well. We can't look at Tesla as a vehicle maker anymore. It's much wider than that. Their battery technology, their chip making. They had to design their own chip, like Apple had to design their own chip because AMD and Intel were just too slow in moving into new technologies, in moving forward. So they're kind of getting left behind, AMD and Intel. So just be a little bit mindful of that, but you'll need to do a lot more research on that. I'm not aware of that, but as I probably mentioned with AMD here before, when you've got and this is more like Richard Wyckoff's work. He was the first one to establish the relationship between price and volume. So he would look at this here in terms of accumulation and then squaring that up in time for the distribution of the trend unit for unit. Things that we've kind of note is that corrections are normally on lower volume. And they just get to the point where it doesn't take a lot in terms of balance points to push something up. But in this case, it was a news event that didn't come from AMD as such, but it really came from Intel, whatever that news was. So we're just going to go back to NVIDIA here, and now that because we talked about AMD and I've had to take a different direction on things. So so this is our new direction for chips. So yeah, we've got a correction across this level here. Now wave fours can get bigger and uglier, understandable, but in that said, we're looking for that to move higher, and it may drop lower first, it may get more complicated, but it's quite a nice ABC correction here. Yeah, and it's kind of stabilized at the 400 here, because there's sticky numbers, so we should see that push up, but even if it pushes down, then it's a buying opportunity. Okay, right. So the next stock here is a penny stock, and it's I think what I might do here, if I just let me just check on a few things. Okay, I've got the name here on the daily chart. I just haven't labeled this correctly. One of the things we can see here though is that if this low is taken out here, that leaves us with 3 waves to the upside. If that leaves us with 3 waves to the upside, that's going to leave us here with a wave C here for this. And to me, that just gives us a buying opportunity to get more, because as I mentioned before, this particular pattern here is a pattern that we see in all markets moving to the upside, as such. I mean, even gold has done that when it went up to 800 and came back down here, and then the bigger pattern for this now is going up to 2,000 for gold, and Bitcoin, its first move up, and Bitcoin's just moving up again now. So Bitcoin has just finished a pattern like this and is going to be moving higher as well. So they're just fractals, reoccurring patterns that will move higher. So treat this as a portfolio move if you have any, and also look to purchase more if we can get it down at the 50-cent area here for this. All right, I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.